Commander Vexral walked slowly through the holding cells of his ship. His forelegs clicked against the metal floor as he moved. Behind the energy barriers, small creatures sat huddled together. They were humans, young ones, children, 47 of them. Vexral felt proud. His raid on the human colony had been perfect. No losses, no problems. The security on that small world had been weak. His soldiers had moved fast. They grabbed the children from something the humans called a school transport and left before anyone could stop them. The children looked at him with wide eyes. Some of them were crying. Others held each other tight. A few of the older ones stood at the front, trying to protect the smaller ones behind them. Vexral found this amusing. Even the young ones tried to fight. Humans were strange creatures. "How much will they bring?" asked his second-in-command, a tall Corvathi named Selvex. "The soft-skinned species always sell well," Vexral replied. "Collectors pay high prices for them. These ones are young and healthy. We will be rich." The Corvathi Empire had been taking slaves from weak species for thousands of years. It was normal. It was business. The galaxy was full of species who could not defend themselves. Humans were just another one of them. They had only been traveling through space for 300 years. Their fleet was small. Their weapons were basic. They were nothing compared to the mighty Corvathi Empire. Vexral returned to the command center of his ship. His crew worked at their stations, guiding the vessel through hyperspace toward Nexus Station. There, the children would be sold. Life would continue as normal. A light flashed on the communication panel. "Commander," said his communications officer, "we have an incoming message. Priority level. Extreme. From who?" "Ambassador Yelthrani, of the Centauri hegemony." Vexral's mandibles clicked in surprise. The Centauri were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They had been traveling through space when the Corvathi were still living in caves. They rarely spoke to anyone. Why would they contact him? "Put it through," he ordered. The screen flickered. A shape appeared. Ambassador Yelthrani was made of living crystal. Her body glowed with soft light that changed color with her emotions. Right now, that light was flickering fast, unstable. Vexral had met Centauri before. He had never seen one look like this. She looked afraid. "Commander Vexral," she said. Her voice was tight, controlled, but something was breaking through that control. "We have been monitoring ship movements in this sector. We have seen your cargo manifest. And you have taken human children." "Yes, 47 of them. They will sell well at—" "Return them." Vexral stared at the screen. "Excuse me? Return them immediately. Now. Before the humans discover what has happened. Before it is too late." Laughter spread through the command center. Vexral's crew found this very funny. The mighty Centauri, one of the elder races, was afraid of humans, those small, soft creatures who had barely learned to fly between stars. "Ambassador," Vexral said, still chuckling, "I think you have spent too much time alone in your crystal towers. Humans are weak. Their fleet is tiny. Their military is not what you should fear." The ambassador's light turned deep red. A color Vexral had never seen from a Centauri. A color that meant something beyond normal fear. "We have watched humanity," she continued. "For 300 years, we have studied them. We have seen things that you cannot imagine. We have seen what they do when their young are threatened. They file complaints," Vexral said. "They ask for meetings. They negotiate. Like all weak species." "No." The ambassador shook her head slowly. "You do not understand. Humans are different. They come from a world that tried to kill them every day. They survived predators, diseases, ice ages. Their own kind. They did not survive by being peaceful. They survived by being the most dangerous thing on their planet." "Ancient history," Vexral dismissed. "They are civilized now." "Civilization is a mask," Ambassador Yelthrani said. "A thin mask. And you have just torn it off. You have taken their children, Commander. Their young, the one thing that humans protect above all else. Above their own lives, above their laws, above their sanity." The command center had grown quiet. The crew was no longer laughing. "Return those children," the ambassador said one final time. "I am begging you, not for their sake, for yours, for your entire species. Because if you do not, the humans will come, and they will not stop. They will not negotiate. They will not show mercy. They will burn everything you have ever built until they get their children back. Vexral straightened his body. He was a commander of the Korvathi Empire. He did not take orders from anyone. Thank you for your concern, Ambassador. But the Korvathi do not fear humans. We do not return cargo, and we do not bow to threats from a species that still uses chemical rockets on half their colony worlds. He ended the transmission. The ambassador's face disappeared from the screen. Vexral turned to his crew with confidence. Continue to Nexus Station, he ordered. Maximum speed. As the ship moved through hyperspace, Vexral felt satisfied. The elder races had grown weak and paranoid. They saw danger everywhere. Humans were just another young species, emotional, primitive, easy to control. He walked back to the holding cells one more time. The children were still there, still crying, still holding each other. One of them, a small female with dark hair, looked up at him. She was maybe 7 or 8 years old. Tears ran down her face, but her eyes held something else. Something that made Vexral pause for just a moment. It was not fear. It was not sadness. It was certainty. My mom is coming, the little girl said. Her voice was quiet but steady. My dad is coming. Everyone is coming. And when they get here, you are going to be very sorry. Vexral laughed and walked away. He should have listened. Across the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, alarms were beginning to sound. Messages were being sent. People were waking up in the middle of the night to answer calls that would change everything. The humans had discovered what happened to their children, and somewhere deep in the human heart, in a place that civilization had never truly reached, something old and terrible began to wake up, something that the galaxy had never seen, something that the Korvathi Empire would never forget. The hunt was about to begin. Admiral Chen Wei-Lin had been sleeping when the call came, 3:47 in the morning. Her phone rang with the special tone that meant emergency, the kind of emergency that could not wait. She answered it. She listened. She said nothing for a long time. Then she got dressed and drove to the United Earth Command Center. She did not speed. She did not panic. Her hands were steady on the wheel. Her face showed nothing. But inside her chest, something cold and hard was forming. Something that had no name. Something that every human knew but never talked about. By 4 in the morning, she had confirmed the reports. A school transport from Colony Meridian 7 had been attacked. 47 children taken. The attackers were Korvathi. Their ship had been tracked, jumping to hyperspace before any defense could respond. 47 children, ages 6 to 12. Gone. Admiral Chen looked at the list of names on her screen. She looked at the photos. Smiling faces, missing teeth, messy hair. Children who had been on their way to school. Children who had been excited about a field trip. Children who were now locked in cages on an alien ship, flying toward a future too horrible to imagine. She closed her eyes for 3 seconds. When she opened them again, all the softness was gone. Get me the council, she said. Get me every admiral, every general, every commander we have. I do not care what time it is. I do not care where they are. Get them now. Within 1 hour, the United Earth government was fully awake. Within 2 hours, a decision had been made. The decision was simple. A message was sent to every communication channel in the galaxy. Every species, every empire, every station. The message was short. It said, to the Korvathi Empire, you have taken 47 human children from Colony Meridian 7. Return them unharmed within 72 hours. There will be no second request. That was all. No threats, no details, no explanation of what would happen if the deadline passed. The galaxy reacted with confusion. This was not how things worked. When a minor species was attacked, they were supposed to file complaints with the Galactic Union. They were supposed to ask for meetings. They were supposed to negotiate. They were supposed to accept whatever crumbs the stronger species offered them. Humans were doing none of these things. The Korvathi Empire received the message and laughed. Their high command sent back a response filled with insults. They called humans weak. They called humans stupid. They said the children would be sold and there was nothing anyone could do about it. They expected fear. They expected begging. They got silence. The elder races did not laugh. They understood something that the Korvathi did not. The Centauri hegemony closed its borders completely. No ships in, no ships out. They recalled every ambassador from every world. The Vethkai Collective, A species of telepaths who had lived in peace for 10,000 years, did something they had never done before. They started building weapons. The Synthesis, an ancient collective of artificial intelligences that had existed since before most species discovered fire, sent a message to the Korvathi. The message contained the results of their calculations. They had run 4.7 million simulations of what was about to happen. In every single simulation, the Korvathi lost. In most simulations, the Korvathi stopped existing entirely. The Korvathi ignored this warning too. Meanwhile, something strange was happening across human space. It started small. A factory worker on Mars stopped making machine parts and started making weapons instead. No one told him to do this. He just did it. His boss saw what he was doing and helped him. A retired soldier on Luna went to her storage unit and pulled out her old armor. She had not worn it in 20 years. It still fit. She put it on and went to the nearest military base. She was not alone. Hundreds of others were already there. Ships that had been sitting in junkyards for decades were suddenly being repaired. Engineers worked through the night without being asked, without being paid, without stopping. A colony that had been fighting with its neighbor for 50 years suddenly stopped fighting. The leaders of both sides met and shook hands. They loaded their weapons onto the same ships and pointed them in the same direction. Criminals turned themselves in to police stations, not because they felt guilty, because they wanted to be processed quickly so they could join the fleet. Police officers processed them quickly for the same reason. There were no speeches, no propaganda, no orders from the government telling people what to do. Humans simply knew. Their children had been taken. Everything else stopped mattering. Admiral Chen watched the reports coming in from across human space. Ships were gathering. People were mobilizing. The official Earth Navy had 300 ships. That number was growing every hour as civilian vessels were armed and added to the fleet. Her aide approached her with a tablet. "Admiral, we are receiving requests from everyone. Cargo ships want to join. Mining vessels. Personal yachts. We even have a luxury cruise liner asking if they can help." "Let them," Admiral Chen said. "Let them all come. Everyone who wants to fight for those children gets a place in this fleet." "Admiral, some of these ships have no weapons at all. Then they can carry supplies. They can rescue survivors. They can watch and witness. No human who wants to be part of this will be turned away." The aide nodded and left. 72 hours. That was the deadline. Admiral Chen knew the Korvathi would not return the children. She knew what was coming next. She thought about the faces on that list. 47 children. 47 families who were waiting, hoping, praying. She thought about her own daughter. Grown now. Safe. But once she had been small. Once she had needed protection. Admiral Chen remembered holding her for the first time. Remembered promising that nothing would ever hurt her. Every parent in human space was feeling the same thing right now. Every aunt, every uncle, every grandparent, every teacher who had ever watched a child learn to read, every stranger who had ever smiled at a baby in a store. Humans protected their young. It was not a choice. It was not a duty. It was something deeper. Something built into their bones over millions of years of evolution. The Korvathi had made a mistake that they did not even understand yet. They had not taken prisoners. They had lit a fire. And that fire was about to burn across the stars. Hour 71 arrived. Then hour 72. The deadline passed. The Korvathi sent another insulting message. They were still laughing. The humans stopped talking. The fleet began to move. The Korvathi border station detected the ships at exactly hour 73. 1 hour after the human deadline had passed. The officer on duty looked at his screen. Then he looked again. Then he called his commander. "Sir," he said, his voice shaking. "You need to see this." Commander Vexral had returned to Korvathi space as a hero. He had shown the galaxy that his people feared nothing. He had been given command of the border defense. 2,000 warships under his control, more than enough to crush any human response. He walked to the sensor station and looked at the screen. His blood turned cold. Ships were dropping out of hyperspace. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. They kept coming, wave after wave. The screen filled with dots until the dots merged into a solid wall of contacts. "How many?" Vexral whispered. The officer's claws trembled over his controls. 12,000, sir." "No, wait. More are arriving. 13,000. 14. Vexral stared at the impossible sight. The human navy was supposed to have 300 ships. Where had this armada come from? Identify them, he ordered. The officer worked his console. His voice grew weaker with every word. Military vessels, cargo ships, mining craft, transport carriers, personal vessels, construction ships. Sir, there are ships here that should not be able to fight at all. They have weapons attached to their hulls with basic welding. Some of them are held together with emergency patches. That is impossible. No species mobilizes like this. Not for anything. But the ships kept coming. 15,000 now. 16. Every ship that humanity could find, beg, borrow, or build. They had all come. Farmers had left their fields. Merchants had abandoned their goods. Scientists had walked away from their research. They had all come. For the children. Vexaural received a transmission from the High Command. The Supreme Leader himself appeared on screen. He looked confident. He looked proud. Commander, the Supreme Leader said, the humans have gathered their pathetic fleet at our border. This is good. We will destroy them all in one battle. Show the galaxy what happens to species that threaten the Corvathi Empire. Supreme Leader, Vexaural said carefully. Their numbers are larger than expected. Numbers mean nothing. Their ships are garbage. Their weapons are primitive. Crush them. The transmission ended. Vexaural looked at the screen again. The human fleet had stopped growing at 18,000 ships. They sat just outside Corvathi space. Not moving, not attacking, just waiting. He opened a channel to them. Human fleet, you are at the border of the Corvathi Empire. Turn back now or be destroyed. A human female appeared on screen. Her uniform marked her as an admiral. Her face showed nothing. No anger, no fear, no emotion at all. That emptiness was somehow more frightening than rage would have been. I am Admiral Chen Wei-Lin of the United Earth Navy, she said. You have our children. Release them now. You are in no position to make demands, human. We have 2,000 warships, the finest in the galaxy. Your collection of scrap metal cannot. Release them now, Admiral Chen repeated. Her voice had not changed at all. This is your final chance. Vexaural felt a flash of anger. These humans did not understand their place. They needed a lesson. They needed to see that the Corvathi could not be threatened. He made a decision that would doom his entire civilization. You want to see what we do with your precious children? He said. Watch. He ordered one of the children brought before a camera. A young male, 8 years old, brown hair, freckles on his face. The child was crying, struggling against the soldiers who held him. Vexaural raised his weapon. This is what the Corvathi think of your demands. He fired. The child fell. The broadcast went out to every ship in both fleets. Vexaural smiled with satisfaction. That smile died when he looked at the human fleet. Every single ship went dark at the same moment. Lights off, engines off, signals off. 18,000 ships became 18,000 shadows floating in space. Complete darkness. Complete silence. Vexaural had wanted to frighten them. Instead, they had done something he did not understand. Why would a fleet turn off all its systems before a battle? Sir, his sensor officer said, we have lost all tracking on the human vessels. We cannot see them anymore. That is impossible. Ships cannot simply disappear, but they had. The human fleet had become invisible, not through technology, through something simpler. They had turned off everything that made them visible. They were running silent, running dark, running like predators. Minutes passed, then hours. Nothing happened. No attacks, no communications, just silence. The Corvathi fleet grew nervous. Soldiers looked at their screens and saw nothing. They looked out windows and saw only stars. But they knew the humans were out there, somewhere, waiting. Ambassador Yelthrani of the Centauri watched from her ship, far outside the danger zone. She recorded a message for her people's archives. Today I witnessed something I hoped I would never see, she said. The humans have gone dark. This is a behavior from their ancient past. Their ancestors did this before a hunt. Before they killed something large and dangerous, they would become silent, patient, invisible. And then when the moment was right, they would strike with everything they had. She paused. Her crystal body flickered with sadness. The Corvathi do not understand what they are facing. They think they are at war with a young species. They are wrong. They are being hunted by predators who have been perfecting the art of killing for 2 million years. And now those predators are angry. Angrier than any human has been in centuries. She ended her recording. In the darkness between stars, 18,000 human ships waited. Inside each ship, humans sat at their stations. Their faces were calm. Their hands were steady. They were not afraid. They were ready. Admiral Chen sat in her command chair. She looked at a picture on her personal screen. A young boy with brown hair and freckles. His name had been Thomas Park. He had been 8 years old. He had wanted to be a pilot when he grew up. He would never grow up now. Chen put the picture away. She opened a channel to her entire fleet. Her voice was quiet when she spoke. They killed one of ours. They murdered a child to show us they are not afraid. She paused. They should have been afraid. She gave the order. All ships, begin the hunt. No mercy, no negotiation, no surrender. We stop when we have our children back. We stop when the Corvathi understand what they have done. We stop when every being in this galaxy knows that you do not touch human children. 18,000 ships lit their engines at once. The hunt had begun. The Corvathi expected a battle. They had prepared for a battle. Their ships were stronger. Their weapons were better. Their soldiers were trained for war. They formed perfect lines. They activated their shields. They waited for the humans to attack. The humans did not attack them. The first target was a fuel depot 3 light-years behind the Corvathi fleet. It exploded without warning. A small group of human ships had jumped past the main fleet and destroyed it before anyone knew they were there. Then they disappeared again. The second target was a communication relay, then a shipyard, then another fuel depot, then a food distribution center. The Corvathi fleet tried to respond, but every time they moved to protect something, the humans hit something else. They were everywhere and nowhere. They struck fast and vanished. Commander Vexral screamed orders at his officers. Find them, track them, engage them, but the humans would not engage. They refused to fight the Corvathi warships directly. Instead, they kept hitting the things that made those warships work. Fuel, supplies, communications, repairs. In the first 6 hours, the Corvathi lost 40% of their supply lines. The elder races watched in horror. This was not war as they understood it. War was about fighting, about battles, about honor. What the humans were doing was something else entirely. Ambassador Yelthrani called it by its true name. They are hunting, she explained to her fellow ambassadors. Humans do not fight like soldiers. They fight like predators. A predator does not attack the strongest part of its prey. It attacks the weak points. It tires its prey. It wounds it. It takes away its ability to run, to eat, to survive. Then, when the prey is weak and alone, the predator finishes it. By hour 12, the Corvathi Empire was bleeding from 1,000 wounds. Every shipyard in 3 sectors was destroyed. The Corvathi could not build new ships or repair damaged ones. Every major fuel depot was gone. Their ships would run out of power within weeks. Every communication relay was silent. Admirals could not talk to their captains. Captains could not talk to their crews. The mighty Corvathi fleet was becoming a collection of blind, deaf, and soon-to-be starving ships. And still, the humans kept coming. The worst part was the speed. Human ships were not supposed to be fast. Their engines were supposed to be primitive. But these humans had removed every safety limit from their vessels. They were burning their engines at rates that would destroy them within months. They did not care. They were not planning to need those ships for months. They were planning to end this now. Vexral finally understood what was happening. The humans were not trying to win a war. They were trying to destroy everything. They would tear down the entire Corvathi infrastructure if they had to. They would reduce his civilization to nothing. He tried a new strategy. He pulled his fleet back to protect civilian worlds. Let the humans attack military targets. He thought. They would not dare attack planets filled with innocent people. He was wrong again. The human fleet arrived at the first Corvathi colony world. They did not fire. Instead, they broadcast a message. Attention, Corvathi colony. This world has military forces stationed on it. You have 4 hours to surrender those forces to us. If you do not, we will assume you are protecting them. We will treat this world as a military target. The colony governor laughed and refused. The Corvathi military would protect them. 4 hours and 1 minute later, every military base on the planet was hit by precise strikes from orbit. Not a single civilian building was damaged, but every barracks, every vehicle depot, every weapons storage facility was gone. The next colony received the same message. This time, the civilians surrendered their military immediately. They threw down their weapons and walked out with their hands raised. They had seen what happened to those who refused. Word spread across the empire. Planet after planet surrendered its military forces. The great Korvathi army was melting away. Soldiers who had been proud warriors became prisoners within hours. The High Command sent desperate messages to the galactic community. They asked for help. They asked for intervention. They asked for someone to stop the humans. No one answered. The synthesis sent one final message. We advised you to return the children. You did not listen. Face the consequences of your choices. The Centauri said nothing. The Vethkai said nothing. Every species in the galaxy watched in silence as humanity tore apart an empire that had existed for 6,000 years. By day 7, the Korvathi had lost everything outside their home system. Their colonies were occupied or destroyed. Their fleets were scattered. Their government was in chaos. Admiral Chen pushed deeper into Korvathi space. Her ships were damaged. Her crews were exhausted. They had not slept properly in days. Some of them had died when their engines failed or their patched-together weapons exploded. But they did not stop, because somewhere ahead of them, 46 children were still waiting to be rescued. 46 children who needed to know that their people had not abandoned them, that the galaxy was not a place where the innocent could be taken without consequence. On day 8, the human fleet entered the Korvathi home system. Vexeral was there, waiting with what remained of his forces, 300 ships, all that was left of 2,000. His crews were tired and scared. They had watched their empire fall in just over a week. They had seen things they thought were impossible. Commander, his second officer said quietly, the humans are offering surrender terms. Vexeral read the terms. They were simple. Give up the children. Give up the soldiers who took them. Dissolve the government. Accept whatever punishment the humans decided. Total surrender. Complete humiliation. And if we refuse? Vexeral asked. The officer pointed at the screen. The human fleet was arranging itself around the home planet. Thousands of weapons pointed at the world where billions of Korvathi lived. Then they do to our home world what they did to everything else, the officer said. Vexeral thought about fighting, about dying with honor, about taking as many humans with him as he could. Then he thought about his own children, somewhere on that planet below. He thought about what he would do if someone threatened them. For the first time since this began, he truly understood what he had done. He had not just taken prisoners. He had not just stolen valuable cargo. He had reached into the hearts of an entire species and pulled out everything dark and dangerous that lived there. He had made humanity remember what they were capable of. Send our surrender, he said quietly. Tell them we accept their terms. The message went out. Across the Korvathi home system, weapons went silent. Ships powered down. The war was over. But the humans did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They had not come for victory. They had come for their children, and they would not rest until every single one of them was safe. The shuttle carrying the children landed on Admiral Chen's flagship at 0900 hours on day 9. Medical teams waited at the docking bay. Counselors stood ready to help. Blankets and food had been prepared. But when the doors opened, everyone stopped. Everything went quiet. 46 children walked out. They were tired. They were scared. Some of them had not stopped crying for days. But they were alive. They were safe. Admiral Chen stood at the front of the crowd. She watched the children emerge one by one. Parents who had made the journey on other ships pushed forward. Names were called out. Families found each other. Mothers grabbed their sons and daughters and held them like they would never let go. The sound of crying filled the docking bay. But it was different crying now. Relief. Joy. The kind of tears that come when a nightmare finally ends. A small girl with dark hair walked out last. She was the one who had spoken to Vexeral in the holding cell, the one who had said her parents were coming. Her name was Maya. She was 7 years old. Her mother ran to her and scooped her up. Her father wrapped his arms around both of them. Maya buried her face in her mother's shoulder. I told them you would come, she whispered. I told them. We will always come, her mother said. Always. No matter what. Admiral Chen watched the reunions for a long time. This was why they had come. This was why they had burned across the stars. This was why they had torn down an empire. For moments like this, she thought about the child who would not have this moment. Thomas Park, 8 years old, brown hair and freckles. His parents were on a different ship. They had come all this way knowing they would only bring home a body, knowing their son was gone. Chen would speak to them later. She would tell them that their son had not died for nothing. She would tell them that 17 Korvathi worlds had burned in his name. She would tell them that the galaxy would never forget what the Korvathi had done. It would not bring Thomas back. Nothing would bring Thomas back. But his death had been answered. The universe had been taught that human children could not be taken without consequence. 2 days later, the surrender ceremony was held on the Korvathi homeworld. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy attended. They wanted to see. They wanted to understand. The Korvathi Supreme Leader knelt before Admiral Chen. He signed documents that dissolved his government. His empire, 6,000 years old, was reduced to a protectorate under Galactic Union control. For the next century, the Korvathi would have no military, no expansion, no independence. The soldiers who had taken the children were handed over to human courts. Commander Vexral was among them. He would spend the rest of his life in a human prison, learning what it meant to live in a cage. When the ceremony was finished, Ambassador Yelthrani of the Centauri approached Admiral Chen. They stood together on a balcony overlooking the Korvathi capital. Below them, the streets were empty. The people were hiding in their homes. They were afraid to show their faces. "Your species has shown us something today," the ambassador said. Her light flickered with complex emotions, something that we did not fully understand before. "And what is that?" Chen asked. "For thousands of years, the elder races have thought of humanity as young, inexperienced, still learning how to walk among the stars." Yelthrani turned to look at the human admiral. "We were wrong. You are not young. You are something else entirely." "What do you mean?" "Most species evolved on peaceful worlds, worlds that gave them food and shelter and safety. They became intelligent through cooperation, through building things together. But humans," the ambassador paused, "humans evolved on Earth, a world of predators and disasters, a world that tried to kill you every day. You did not become intelligent through peace. You became intelligent through war, through survival, through fighting things that wanted to eat you." Chen said nothing. She listened. "Other species wonder why humans are so aggressive, why you fight so hard, why you never give up." Yelthrani's light dimmed. "Now I understand. You are not aggressive because you want to be. You are aggressive because you had to be. Your ancestors who were not aggressive died. Only the fighters survived. Only the ones who would do anything to protect their families." "Is that supposed to be an insult?" Chen asked. "No. It is a warning." The ambassador looked back at the empty city. The Korvathi did not understand what they were dealing with. They thought humans were weak, because you are soft and small and fragile. They did not see the truth. They did not see that your softness hides something very hard underneath. "And what is that?" "A killer." Yelthrani met her eyes. "Every human is a killer, Admiral. Not because you want to be, but because 1,000,000 years of evolution made you that way. You hide it well. Your civilization, your laws, your kindness. But when something threatens the ones you love, all of that falls away. And what remains is the creature that fought its way to the top of a death world." Chen did not deny it. She could not. She had seen her own people over the past 9 days. She had seen what they became when their children were threatened. The masks had fallen. The beast had emerged. "Spread the word, Ambassador," she said quietly. "Tell every species in the galaxy. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them that humans can be your friends. We can be your partners. We can build things together and explore the universe together." She paused. "But do not threaten our children. Do not hurt our families. Do not wake up the thing inside us that we work so hard to keep asleep." Her voice hardened. "Because if you do, we will not stop. We will not negotiate. We will not show mercy. We will burn everything you have until there is nothing left. And we will do it not because we want to, but because we cannot stop ourselves. Because protecting our young is not a choice. It is what we are." Ambassador Yelthrani nodded slowly. She understood now. All the elder races understood. Humanity was not a young species finding its way in the galaxy. Humanity was a predator that had learned to wear clothes and build cities and pretend to be civilized. But underneath all of that, the predator was still there, waiting, sleeping. The Korvathi had woken it up. The message spread across the galaxy over the following months. Every species heard the story. Every species saw the recordings. They watched an empire fall in 9 days. They watched 18,000 ships appear from nowhere. They watched a civilization burn because it dared to touch human children. And they learned, centuries later, the story was still told. It became a legend, a warning. When young aliens asked their parents why humans were treated with such respect, the parents told them about the Korvathi, about the 47 children, about the fleet that rose from nothing and destroyed everything. The lesson was simple. The lesson never changed. You can trade with humans. You can talk with humans. You can even fight with humans. If you are foolish enough, but never, ever touch their children, because if you do, they will come for you. All of them. And they will not stop until there is nothing left of you but ashes and memories. That is not a threat. That is what humans are.